Republican House Speaker Mike Johnson is trying his damnedest to make Medicaid cuts seem like something that'll actually be beneficial to the American people, and, well, it's not going well.
No one has talked about cutting one benefit in Medicaid to anyone who's duly owed. What we've talked about is returning work requirements. So, for example, you don't have able-bodied young men on a program that's designed for single mothers and the elderly and disabled. They're draining resources from people who are actually do that. So if you clean that up and shore it up, you save a lot of money and you return the dignity of work to young men who need to be out working instead of playing video games all day. We have a lot of fraud, waste, and abuse in Medicaid. Just one tiny example. The estimate is $51 billion a year in Medicaid is lost to fraud. That's unconscionable. We now have, with the DOGE efforts and with new algorithms and with new oversight responsibilities and opportunities, we have ability to carve that out. We have a responsibility to do it. That estimate by some people, some estimates say that is very low. It's actually much higher than that. So we're going to go through.
I want you all to know Medicaid is one of the most efficient government programs with the least amount of waste. Only 2% of people on Medicaid are able-bodied and looking for a job. Only 2%. And I saw Mike Johnson on the television saying, we got to stop all these able-bodied men from being on Medicaid. First of all, like it's a crime for someone to have health care in America. Health care is a human right in America, and everyone should have it. Everyone should see a doctor. We must end the indignity of not being able to afford medicine, a doctor's appointment.
Now, the bottom line, as even Senate Republicans know, is that they are never going to hit the $1.5 trillion number without taking a substantial axe to Medicaid. And given he's leading the charge, here is some context about Mike Johnson you should all know. Almost 40% of his district is on Medicaid, his congressional district, the people who elected him. That's nearly 290,000 people, according to data from KFF Health News. In fact, a major rural hospital in his district remains open thanks in large part to Medicaid. And when KFF Health News spoke with 24 Medicaid enrollees in his district, most of them said they had no idea Speaker Johnson's budget could put that very coverage at risk. So here's a little idea for Democrats before your next town halls. Now's probably a very good time to educate your voters in your neighboring Republican districts about what those Medicaid cuts could mean. Because what's on the chopping block isn't waste or fraud, obviously not. It's hospitals, it's nursing homes, and it's keeping people care within reach for so many people.
Here's the thing, they're just lying. And I think, we've all become accustomed to Donald Trump and his modus operandus of lying to the American people. And Mike Johnson is one of his closest allies. And this week, as the Republicans were melting down on the House floor, basically he and the leader of the Republicans in the Senate had to promise the fiscal conservatives in the House that they would cut Medicaid and cut spending by $1.5 trillion, or else they wouldn't have voted for it. So it's very clear it's in the framework. And by the way, Republicans actually leaked their own budget document that showed all of the Medicaid programs that they plan to cut. So it's a complete lie.
You can balance the budget and preserve all the benefits of Medicare, all the benefits of Social Security. You can do that. I don't believe in cutting them. I actually have a bill to protect them. Not one Democrat will get on it. What's happened is all these other programs have skyrocketed in size. It looks like we'll have revenues about $5.5 trillion, right? You can take today's spending for Medicare, today's spending for Social Security, right? Get rid of fraud, waste, and abuse, and then look at the other programs, and you can balance the budget without cutting any benefits, which you shouldn't, of Medicare or Social Security. This is all doable, but guess what you have to do? You have to do what you do. You probably look at your credit card statement every month. Say, well, maybe I shouldn't spend that, or, oh, was that actually a proper payment? We spend $250 billion of payments to people in this country every year that weren't entitled to it. And this isn't getting solved. What we're going to solve this problem. We're going to balance the budget. We have to balance the budget if you care about poor families in this country that are struggling with this inflation.
The fact that the Trump administration is throwing around their favorite buzzwords, waste, fraud, and abuse, as a smokescreen to slash funding for one of the most efficient and well-audited programs in the country is disgusting. But what really takes it to another level is Florida Senator Rick Scott, the guy who you might know oversaw the largest Medicaid fraud in U.S. history, having the audacity to talk about fraud like it's some widespread issue among every everyday people, you and me, rather than the exact crime he committed as a greedy, corrupt healthcare CEO.
It is one of the biggest criminal investigations of an American corporation ever.
We're executing a search warrant.
In the past few months, hundreds of federal agents have raided at least 70 of Columbia's hospitals and offices in 7 states.
Rick Scott promised explosive growth to shareholders, but to insiders, Rick Scott could be ruthless.
They seem to care more about profits than medicine.
Good old-fashioned fraud, lying for money.
Over the last decade, Columbia has made its stockholders and executives rich.
The company cheated the Medicare program, and they knew what they were doing.
Regularly filing false Medicare reports and overcharging the government.
Charging the government for everything from Kentucky Derby tickets to country club memberships.
False claims submitted to the government year after year over the course of hundreds of hospitals. Their promotions depended on it. Their bonuses depended on it.
For-profit hospital chain HCA, formerly called Columbia HCA, will plead guilty to criminal conduct.
$745 million to settle charges of fraud in Medicare billing.
Rick Scott and 5 other top corporate executives have resigned, and federal investigators told ABC News today that Scott is now considered a prime target of the investigation.
It's just so on brand for this administration.
And this isn't getting solved.
If you enjoyed that, make sure that you never miss another video by subscribing. And if you want a little more, consider hitting the join button and becoming an actual member. But you're probably wondering, why the hell would I do that, John? First off, calm down. The stakes in this are very, very low. But also, when you click the join button and you become a member, you get access to bonus content that I make every week, and it's a ton of fun. You get access to tons of custom emojis and more besides that. By the way, if you join at Tier 3, you even get access to a monthly member hangout with myself and other awesome people, and we always have a great time. By the way, you'll get all that going forward, but you also unlock years of the back catalog. That is literally 100 or more bonus clips, top 10 lists, debates, and more. What are you waiting for? Click the join button below. Your support powers our show, and we couldn't do it without you. Or at the very least, I wouldn't really want to try. Viewers like you keep me here. So thank you in advance for joining.